Hi, I'm Michele at the Portland Public Library in Portland, Maine. Thank you for joining me for part 5 of our read aloud of Alvin Ho, Allergic to Girls, School, and Other Scary Things, written by Lenore Look, illustrated by LuUyen Pham, and published by Yearling. This is part 5 and the conclusion of this book. Chapter 15, The Problem with Joining a Gang. The first problem with joining a gang is that the pressure starts right away. I dare you to stick your tongue out at the bus driver, ordered Pinky. The gang followed us off the bus. I stood in my driveway. I stuck out my tongue at the bus driver. She didn't look too pleased, but Pinky did. I dare you to yell a bad word at the bus, ordered Pinky as the bus pulled away. Now! Zounds! I yelled at the top of my lungs. What? Asked Eli. Behold thy mirror, thou spleeny, naughty, pated dewberry, I added, for good measure. Okay, forget it, said Pinky impatiently. Whatever. There's him cursing in Shakespeare. Whatever. The second problem with joining a gang is that Flea gave me the eye, then turned and went down the street, swinging her cool peg leg and all, without a word. The third problem with joining a gang is that you don't know what they'll make you do, but I had a feeling it would be scary. I thought about this as we walked up my driveway. I dare you, said Pinky, looking up, to jump off the roof of your house. I'm telling Mom, said Calvin, who was right behind us. He ran into the house. Mom! I heard him yell, Mom! My heart thumped like crazy. My mom is an ace rescuer. She would save me. She always did. But my mom did not come out, and neither did Calvin. So I scratched the old pox on my left side, and then I scratched the old pox on my right side, and then I looked up at the roof of my house. It was a long way up. Here's how long it was. It was a long way up. I swallowed. It was all I could do not to cry. But it is important at moments like this to not show how you really feel. It's like playing poker. Even if you're losing, you have to pretend you're winning. Well, said Pinky. Okay, I said, but I was not okay. I could just about pee in my pants. One moment I'm standing in my driveway, and the next moment I could be on my driveway. Dead, just like that. Well, said Pinky, what are you waiting for? I gotta use the bathroom first, I said. I ran inside, rushed up the stairs, and used the bathroom. Then I went into my bedroom and looked out the window. It was a long way down. Calvin and Annie Belly were playing catch with Gung Gung in the backyard. Farther down the road, Flea was playing by herself in her own backyard, building something that looked like a pyramid. It was fabulous, even from far away. This is Fastfall, Gung Gung's voice floated up into my ears. He is my grandpa from my mom's side. And when he is at my house after school, it means that my mom is at work and he is here to keep his eye on things. I looked down at Pinky. He was shouting something at me and his face was very pink. He looked much smaller than he used to. In fact, from where I was, Pinky was just a Pinky. There he is looking out. I went back downstairs. I'm not going to jump off my roof, I told Pinky. Why not? I have acrophobia, I said. Huh? Said Pinky. Fear of heights, I explained. Well then, said Pinky, I dare you to watch a scary movie. I froze. I hate scary movies. They give me nightmares. After I watch one, I can't eat, I can't talk, I can't walk, I can't sleep, and I can't get it out of my head. But I supposed it was better than jumping to my death in my own driveway and then having Louise run over my dead body. I wanted to cry like the end of a rain pipe on a rainy day, but I didn't. It is important at moments like this to not show how you really feel. It is like marching to the doctor's office for a vaccination. Even though the shot could kill you, you still have to look like you don't know it. So I began to march. Fortunately, the longest path to the TV at our house is through the backyard. Hi, Alvin, cried Annie Belly cheerfully. She is always happy to see me, especially after school. Was that you cursing like an infectious poxmarked measle at the school bus? I didn't answer. Annie Belly was wearing my mitt, the one with my name on it, and she was throwing my ball, the one that used to belong to Daisuke Matsuzaka, with her 2 fingers together on top. She snapped the ball into Gungung's glove. It was a fastball, all right, but it really wasn't that fast. She was just pretending it was fast. Here's Annie Belly. But the sound of Annie Belly's fastball smacking into the mitt is a little scary. It stopped the gang dead in their tracks. "You want to throw, Alvin?" asked Annie Belly. "I'll catch." "No thanks," I lied. "I've got something better to do." "Like what?" "Like prove his bravery," said Pinky, "so that he can play with us at school." Annie Belly narrowed her eyes. She put out her hokey pokey foot and made a face that said they were going to have to deal with her first. "Annie Belly," said Gung, "if Alvin would rather not play catch, it's okay. My Gung loves baseball. He is an ace pitching machine, and playing catch with him is our favorite thing to do after school whenever he is around." So Annie Belly and Gung went back to throwing the ball, and the gang and I stood there and watched. "This is a knuckleball," Gung said, showing Annie Belly and Calvin. He bent his 2 fingers at the knuckle so that they came up like 2 rabbit ears on the ball and pitched it to Calvin. It was slow and tricky. Calvin hardly knew where it was going. "This is a changeup," said my Gung. He shifted his middle finger and 4th finger to grip the ball from the top, with the index finger and pinky grabbing this from the sides and the thumb on the bottom, and snapped it into Annie Belly's glove. Oomph! And here is Gung showing everyone. It looked like a fastball, but it was a bit slower. Another tricky ball. It can fool you into swinging early. Then my Gung demonstrated the 2-seam fastball and the 4-seam fastball. Then the split finger and its cousin, the nastier, slower forkball. They are bad, meaning they are fantastic. I could hardly stand it. I love throwing with my Gung. I love it more than digging holes, and I definitely love it more than doing dares from Pinky. To make matters worse, there was Annie Belly using my glove and ball. "I thought you boys had something better to do," said Gung. No one moved. A breeze swirled crispy leaves up and around our ankles. "Oh yeah," said Pinky, finally, "we do." And that is the worst problem with joining a gang. Someone else speaks for you. Chapter 16, A Horrific Thing. By the time we came up from the basement after watching alien babies land from outer space, it was getting dark. The house was very quiet except for the wind weeping and wailing through the walls and the faint machine gun sound of my mom's sewing machine coming from upstairs. Besides being an ace pitching machine, my Gung also likes to sew. "That wasn't a very scary movie at all," stammered Scooter. "No, it wasn't," said Eli. "I've seen scarier," said Naya, shuddering. I said nothing. "Let's go throw some balls," said Pinky. "Okay," said Hobson. "Woohoo," said Pinky, picking up my ball and glove, which Annie Bell had left by the door. "We even have an autographed baseball by Alvin Ho." Here they are watching the movie. The gang slapped high fives. I slapped nothing. "I think there's something wrong with Alvin," said Sam. I could hardly move. I could hardly blink. I could hardly breathe. I could hardly do anything but watch alien babies invade Earth and crawl around like zombies over and over again in my mind. But Pinky and the gang had already gone out, and so had my glove and ball, and so I followed like a zombie myself. Outside, it was a dark and shadowy night. The tree reached its crooked fingers toward me. The garden hose slithered and hissed. Usually no one pitches at our house when it gets dark. You can't see what you're doing, and if you miss, you could have a terrible accident. "I'd like to learn the forkball," Pinky said to me. "Show me." He threw me the ball and backed up. I froze. A forkball is a killer. It is slow and nasty. Even in daylight, you can hardly tell where it's going. If Pinky didn't catch it, the ball could smack him right between the eyes. "Come on," said Pinky. "You waiting for retirement or something?" I shivered. I squinted. It was hard to tell the gang apart from the other creepy shadows in the yard. "Haven't got all night," screeched Pinky. So I wound up my pitch, leaned back on one leg, and then fired it with all my might. There was no thud in the glove. A thick, soupy silence poured into our ears. Then, crack! The sound of a window splintering into a million diamonds. Oops, I think I hear my mom calling, said Pinky, and he tossed my glove and had started across the yard. Here they are playing baseball. He had started across the yard when a horrific thing emerged from the shadows and came charging toward us. Half of it was green, the other half was black. Scales ran along one side and warts ran down the other. I was ready to pee in my pants, but I didn't. At moments like this, it is important to have already used the bathroom, which I had. Ack! Pinky screamed, a belly button piercing scream. Ack! The wind howled and hammered at the house. The fence groaned and creaked. Here's a picture of what they're seeing. The fence groaned and creaked. Where am I? I wanted to scream my head off, but I couldn't. Nothing came out. My heart stopped. My breath stopped. My eyes shut. When I opened them again, I saw that Pinky had peed in his pants. I didn't know what to say, and neither did the rest of the gang. What do you say when someone's just embarrassed himself to death? The horrific thing moved closer. La, 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 la. It sang. Pinky turned and ran. Ah! He screamed. Hi, Alvin, said the horrific thing. It was Annie Belly's voice, but it was not Annie Belly. La, 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 la. It sang again. Had the horrific thing swallowed Annie Belly? Do you like my Halloween costume, Alvin? Said Annie Belly's voice. Gung Gung just finished it. The horrific thing twirled menacingly one way and then menacingly the other. It was uglier than any of the alien babies and scarier than the whole movie from beginning to end. What are you doing? I asked. What are you? Half witch and half dragon, said Annie Belly's voice. I couldn't decide, so Gung Gung said I could be both. Here she is. Oh, I said. Then, surprise, surprise, I remembered to say something nice to Annie Belly. You look terrific, I said, even though she was ugly enough to make you run. You better come in now, called my Gung Gung from the house. He was a dark shape against the bright light in the doorway. Annie Belly and I ran toward the light. Lucky your mother wasn't home, my Gung Gung said as I stepped past him. You can tell her what happened in the morning. I nodded. Then I looked over my shoulder. The rest of the gang had disappeared. Our yard was quiet. The house next door was completely dark and quiet too. Lucky the neighbors weren't home either. Chapter 17, Death by Volcano. After breakfast the next morning, and after I had forgotten to tell my mom about what had happened with the gang, I dashed over to Pinky's house as quickly as I could. Pinky was still in his pajamas watching cartoons. I was in my Firecracker Man outfit from head to toe. It was Saturday. The world needed saving and there was no time to waste. But first, I tapped on his living room window. I want a refund, I said when Pinky came to the door. What refund? Asked Pinky. The Hank Aaron rookie and the Carl Yastrzemski rookie, I said. I want them back. But I thought we were friends, said Pinky. I had thought about it all night, in between reruns of alien babies crawling around inside my head, and this is what I thought. Playing with Pinky was not a good trade for the cards. And I don't like doing the things you do, I said. Why not? Asked Pinky. I'm just not talented in that way, I said. Pinky shrugged. Yeah, you're right, he said. Then he went back into his house, and when he came to the door, he handed over the cards. The rookies were okay. There's a good reason why baseball cards are in plastic pockets. It keeps them dry in case of accidents. I breathed a sigh of relief. You sure you want to do this? Pinky asked. I nodded. I was very sure. If I don't play with you, who will? I shrugged. I didn't really know, but I knew I didn't want to play with him. Flea's house was on the way home. It is not on the way to everywhere like Jules's house, but it is on the way to something some of the time. And Flea was in her yard, swinging her arms wildly and kicking her peg leg and her regular leg equally wildly. Ha! She screamed, chopping her arms through the air. Ha ha! She chopped the other way. Hi, I said. Ha, said Flea, kicking the air behind her. What you doing? Aggression for girls, said Flea. Want to try? It's fun. I shrugged. Okay. I squeezed through a loose board in the fence. Flea sliced her arm like a sword through the air, and she added a kick to the side. It was fabulous. I sliced and kicked too. Ha, she screamed again. Ha ha, ha, I copied. Ha ha. We chopped and kicked until we were out of chops and kicks. Here they are, doing aggression for girls. After that, we went inside and watched an action movie with Boatswain. He swam around like crazy during the commercials, but he stayed fixed in one spot in his bowl during the action scenes, unblinking, watching the movie. It was the most amazing thing I had ever seen. I'll trade you a Carl Yastrzemski rookie and a Joe DiMaggio rookie for your fish, I said, holding out the cards. No way, said Flea. How about the rookies and a piece of gum, I said, reaching into my back pocket. But the gum was not there, and then I remembered that I had traded it to Pinky long ago. There we are. This fish is not for sale, said Flea. He's family. Isn't that right, Boatswain? Boatswain nodded. I swear it. Why, how now, Putz? I began in a Shakespearean curse. Then I stopped myself and I cleared my throat. I have something to say, I said. Okay, said Flea. I looked around. I didn't really want to say it. It was something hard to say. It was much harder than cursing or insulting. Can I try on your eye patch, I asked. Okay, said Flea, and she pulled it off, and I pulled it on. I blinked. It was fantastic. Flea's good eye blinked too. Her other eye looked as soft as a baby's and stayed shut. You're blind in that eye, I asked. Yep, said Flea. How come? I asked. I come from a long line of pirates, said Flea. It was just as I thought. Is that how you got your peg leg too, I asked. Yep, said Flea. There he is trying it on. I nodded speechless, and then I gave Flea her eye patch back. Was that what you wanted to say, asked Flea. I shook my head. It wasn't at all what I had wanted to say, but now I had run out of the other things to say, so I had to say it. I'm sorry that I didn't stick up for you yesterday in the class and on the bus, I said. Flea blinked. Then she blinked again. I held my breath. Okay, she said, I forgive you. What a relief. So then I asked the question I'd been dying to ask. What's that in your backyard? Come on, I'll show you. We hurried outside, and there in Flea's backyard in broad daylight was a real live volcano. It was huge. It was made of mud and dirt and something called chicken wire, but there was no chickens, only wire. Flea poured a bucket of vinegar and some baking soda into the top, and lava bubbled out. It was a mess, and it was amazing. After the bubbling stopped, it got kind of quiet in the backyard. And here's a picture of it. Got kind of quiet in the backyard. Flea looked at me. I looked at Flea. What are you going to be for Halloween? I finally asked. A princess, said Flea. I am always a princess. Oh, I said. I didn't like princesses. They are silly. Princesses make me sick. And just as I was about to say how much I hate princesses, I heard something else come out of my mouth. You'd make a good princess. Grow unsightly warts. How did I say that? Thank you, said Flea. What are you going to be? A gentleman, I said. Oh, said Flea. It grew quiet again, and then she remembered her manners. You'd make a good one, she said. Thanks. Here's her princess costume. And here is his gentleman costume. Then she remembered her manners, and I said thanks. And then we poured more vinegar and baking soda into the volcano. Lava bubbled out like crazy. Death by volcano, I screamed, leaping and jumping over the foamy lava. Roar! Roared Flea, leaping and jumping like crazy too. There were plastic Minutemen and redcoats and trucks and motorcycles and packs of ferocious Tuojangasaurus and a flock of velociraptors that we had to save, so we did, and it took all afternoon, but we saved them all. And after we finished, Flea brought out her book, the book on Alvin, and she drew Firecracker Man saving the world from death and destruction on the side of the volcano. It was really super duper. Do you think we can do this again sometime, I asked. Sure, said Flea, anytime. Anytime? It sounded like something friends say to each other, and I blasted off toward home. Alvin, said my mother when Firecracker Man blasted into the kitchen. Uh-oh. The look on her face was not so great. Did you put a baseball through the neighbor's window? What baseball? I asked innocently. Not I. It was in her sink, said my dad, and it had your name on it, son. I love it when he calls me that, usually. Here's his picture. So innocent. And that is the end of Alvin Ho, Allergic to School, Girls' School, and Other Scary Things, written by Lenore Look, illustrated by LuUyen Pham, and published by Yearling. If you liked this book, there are more books about Alvin Ho, and you can look for the next one called Alvin Ho, Allergic to Camping, Hiking, and Other Natural Disasters, also by Lenore Look, illustrated by LuUyen Pham, published by Yearling. I'm so glad you joined me today for our read aloud of Alvin Ho. Once again, I'm Michele from the Children's Room in the Portland Public Library in Portland, Maine, and I'll see you next time. Bye.